The fluorescent lights in room 3B of Franklin High buzzed like angry hornets, throwing a harsh white glare across the desks. It was a Tuesday afternoon math lab, but it felt more like a stage where the same tired play unfolded every day. At the front of the room, Mr. Whitmore tapped a piece of chalk against the blackboard, his crisp shirt sleeves rolled to the elbows. "Today," he announced, "we'll attempt a challenge problem most college students can't solve." His eyes scanned the room and landed briefly on 17-year-old Malik Carter sitting in the back. The teacher's gaze slid off him just as quickly, like water rolling off glass. Malik noticed. He always noticed. Mr. Whitmore picked volunteers the way a magician picks cards, dramatically, selectively, never by chance. "Derek," he said to a boy in the front row, "start us off." Malik leaned over his notebook. He had already scribbled half the solution before Whitmore even finished writing the question, a mess of symbols describing how to model oscillations in a fractured bridge cable. Most of the class didn't even know where to begin, but Malik had been living inside numbers since he could remember. When Derek stumbled through an answer, Whitmore shook his head with exaggerated patience. "Anyone else?" His gaze swept the room again and once more skipped Malik, though Malik's hand was in the air. A low ripple of whispers spread through the class. Everyone saw it. Malik felt the familiar flush of heat crawl up his neck. This wasn't new. Since September, Whitmore had forgotten his name during roll call, dismissed correct answers with a shrug, and handed back Malik's perfect tests without comment. The bell rang before Malik could speak. That evening, Malik sat at his grandmother's kitchen table. The smell of cornbread filled the air, warm and steady like her voice. "He won't call on me, Nana," Malik said, stabbing at a meatloaf crumb with his fork. "It is like I'm invisible unless he wants to prove I am wrong." Grandma Lila raised an eyebrow. "So prove you're right where nobody can ignore you." Malik looked up. "How?" She smiled, lines deepening around her eyes. "Let the numbers speak louder than the man." 2 weeks later, Franklin High buzzed with excitement. NASA had released a nationwide challenge for students. Find a clean mathematical model to predict microfractures in the massive solar arrays planned for their next Mars mission. The winner would earn a summer internship at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory. Whitmore slapped the printed announcement on the classroom wall. "An advanced problem," he said. "Far beyond the scope of this course." His eyes twinkled at the top students in the front row. "But perhaps worth a try for some of you." He never looked toward Malik, but Malik's heart kicked like a drum. He took a photo of the flyer and, that night, began. For days, he lived in a world of equations and quiet determination. After school, he holed up in the city library until closing time, pages of calculations spreading across the table like maps of a hidden country. He built simulations on his battered second-hand laptop, sometimes working until sunrise. While other kids worried about prom dates, Malik wrestled with the thermal expansion of titanium panels in a vacuum. He wasn't just solving for NASA, he was solving for himself, for every time a teacher's glance had passed him by. The submission deadline came and went. Malik pressed send at 11:58 p.m., 2 minutes to spare, his heart pounding. Then he waited. Weeks passed. Nothing. Whitmore never mentioned the competition again. It was a rainy Thursday when everything changed. Halfway through class, the door burst open and the principal, Ms. Hernandez, hurried in, raincoat dripping. Behind her stood 2 strangers in dark suits, their badges flashing silver. "Mr. Whitmore," the principal said, breathless, "these gentlemen are from NASA. They need to speak with one of your students. Right now." The room went still. Whitmore blinked. "Of course. Who?" One of the men consulted a clipboard. "Malik Carter." Every head turned. Malik felt the room tilt. "Me?" His voice cracked. "Yes," the taller agent said. "We need to discuss your submission to the Solar Array Stability Challenge. Immediately." Whitmore's mouth opened, then closed. "There must be some mistake," he said finally. "Malik didn't—" "We're not mistaken," the agent interrupted. "His model just solved a critical problem our engineers have wrestled with for months. Headquarters needs him on a call within the hour." The class erupted in whispers. Whitmore's face tightened, the color draining as the reality sank in. An hour later, Malik sat in the principal's office with a NASA engineer on a live video link. Screens displayed his equations like constellations. "Your adaptive stress dispersion algorithm," the engineer said, "is nothing short of brilliant. We're implementing it immediately. It may save us billions and keep astronauts safe on Mars." Malik barely breathed. "Thank you, sir." "Thank you," the engineer replied. "How soon can you come to California? We'd like you to work with our team this summer. Paid internship, full access to the labs." Outside the office, through the glass, Malik could see Whitmore pacing, stunned into silence. Word spread like wildfire. By the next morning, local news vans clogged the school parking lot. Cameras flashed as Malik stepped off the bus. Reporters shouted questions about NASA, about genius, about the future. But what Malik remembered most was not the cameras. It was Whitmore waiting by the classroom door, shoulders stiff. "Mr. Carter," Whitmore said, voice low, "I underestimated you." Malik met his eyes, calm and steady. "Numbers don't care who writes them, sir." Whitmore swallowed hard and stepped aside. That summer, Malik walked the gleaming halls of the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, a badge with his name swinging from a NASA lanyard. He ran simulations beside world-class scientists, his equation guiding the design of panels that would one day unfold beneath a Martian sky. Late one night, alone in the control room, Malik thought of Grandma Lila's words. "Let the numbers speak louder than the man." He smiled, picturing her proud face when he called home. Months later, Franklin High held a special assembly. The gym overflowed with students, teachers, and reporters as the school board presented Malik with a medal for scientific achievement. Even Whitmore applauded. When Malik stepped to the microphone, he didn't gloat. His voice was clear and measured, like the lines of an equation finally balanced. "This isn't just my victory," he said. "It's proof that brilliance doesn't need permission. Talent isn't limited by who notices you or who ignores you. It's already there, waiting for its moment to speak." The crowd erupted in cheers, and somewhere far above, orbiting a silent planet millions of miles away, the math he wrote in a quiet kitchen in the dead of night would keep future astronauts safe, a solution born not from privilege, but from persistence, and from a young man who refused to stay invisible.